you the bird with the various colors and shapes which has amazed people for many years. With its skill in imitating sounds to the extent that it has become a favorite of humans and is considered as one of the most important and most widespread animals. But what is its story? How can an animal have the ability to simply pronounce letters and words, which is considered a skill that only humans can do without the other creatures on earth? How can a parrot speak, and what they do is really talking, isn't it? Does a parrot have vocal cords and a throat like us? And if the answer is no, if you are new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe and activate the bell to receive our parrots are found in warm places around the world, like India, Southeast Asia, West Africa, Latin America, Australia, and New Zealand. The parrot is still present today, and it's still there today. And it was not extincted by any species, but only one species in the early 20th century, which was in the United States, and the parrot is distinguished by its relatively large head and short neck and its hard shell, and it's one of the birds that live for long periods of time. And their average age reaches 25 to 30 years, and the larger ones can reach 100 years, and that's a long time compared to other birds. And one of the interesting things to notice is that the creature is very loyal, and the two of them do not separate from each other at all throughout life. And one of the common habits among parrots is that during the period of the female's egg incubation, which is estimated to be about 5 weeks, the male during this period feeds her and takes care of her, so there is no romantic romance after that. I mean, romance is not a thing anymore. And if you think that this cute creature is weak, let me tell you that you are wrong. The parrot has a big body, and it focuses a lot in its beak. The big parrot has the ability to break the fruit of the coconut through small holes in the solid trees to build inside the bushes and houses. After we got to know the parrot in a nutshell, let's ask a simple question. Does the parrot talk? In fact, the answer is no. The parrot does not talk, but it imitates. And in fact, the parrot is not the only creature that has the ability to imitate, which many people do not know, that the swan, the emperor bird, and the European rooster are classified as one of the native birds that has the ability to imitate, but their abilities are usually limited compared to the imitation skills. That the parrot has the emperor bird is a story alone, and as we said, the parrot does not speak, but it is an imitating being. It has a great ability to imitate and mimic any sound he hears. But look at what is the machine that the parrot can use to imitate sounds. The parrot's brain differs in its structural structure from the brains of other birds. It has a skin surrounding the vocal centers in its brain responsible for mimicking the language. In addition, it has nerve connections that help it learn sounds and imitate them. And its memory of sound makes it able to store speech and imitate it at the right time, but of course not through voice cords or anything, but by way of recording. So if humans have a box, then the parrot has what is known as a receiver, or a sound box, and this is the organ that helps speech in a close of humans, and is located in the lower part of the air duct. And the parrots can speak through the control in the air that is amplified through the receiver. And so they emit their own sounds, meaning that all the sounds that the parrot emits are the sounds of birds. And because it doesn't have a beak or teeth to help it pronounce letters, it controls the letters with different mechanisms. For example, even though most animals make sounds from the beak without using the tongue, but the parrot uses his tongue to interpret and change the tone of the sounds. In addition, because he uses his neck to get a certain tone. That is, if he moves his neck in a certain way and in a certain direction, a note is produced, and if he moves his neck in a different direction, a different note is produced. And using all these previous means in combination, in addition to his ability to memorize words, can imitate the sounds they hear and repeat them again. Let's ask a question: do all parrots speak? In fact, not all kinds of parrots have the ability to imitate and produce sounds. There are many kinds that are like the birds of prey and produce normal sounds, which is widespread in bird shops. Unfortunately, because of these kinds of parrots there are a lot of embarrassing situations. You find a guy from those he is standing in a bird shop, talking to a parrot, and he is telling him say daddy, say sugar, and weird things like that. And he is very sad that the parrot is not expressed. This kind of parrot does not talk, and one of the most famous species that can talk is the African gray parrot, Amazon parrot, badger parrot, Quaker parrot, and finally the Indian parrot. These species are distinguished by their ability to memorize a large number of words and pronounce them clearly and correctly. As for the types of parrots that speak, if we went to the forest and brought one of them and took it home with us, and we put our hand on our cheek and waited for it to speak, will it speak in reality? No. The parrot simply makes a reaction. It waits for a sound to happen in front of it and affect it, then it stores it, and returns it again in the form of an audible tone that it produces from its own source. And one of the amazing things is that parrots in the wild do not make sounds of each other. And it is very rare when they make a sound of something that is around them in nature. And they often do not speak in a concentrated way except with humans. And they usually don't speak directly to humans, and the parents do some activities and trainings to teach the parrot to speak. One of the easiest activities is to define a specific word that the parrot wants to learn. For example, the word assalamu alaikum, and the parrot records the sentence in a voice file. And then he starts it and keeps on repeating it with the shame of leaving a time between the sentence and the sentence after it, so that the parrot doesn't get confused and understands that they are two separate sentences and not one sentence. And then the teacher turns on the sound next to the parrot for a certain period. And when the parrot hears the recording a lot, it starts automatically trying to repeat the word, and with time, it starts to get used to the word and can say it in another position without hearing it. And the parrot in the middle has the ability to memorize more than 800 words, and the strange thing is that he has the ability to connect sounds with positions, which means that a large number of parrots, when they see their parent inside the house, they start to say to him, hello, how are you? But of course this doesn't mean that he is reassuring him. He doesn't understand what he is saying. All in all, the parent has accustomed him to when he sees someone inside the door repeating these words, and thus he can link the event in front of him with a certain sound. Do you think this smart creature's actions stop when imitating sounds or not? The parrot is very smart and classified as the quietest bird ever. Not only does it learn to repeat words, but it has the ability to learn some movements and acquire many skills through the educators. A large number of videos are spread on social media where you can see doves doing amazing things. You can see a dove riding a bike, or a dove distinguishing colors, or a dove making phone sounds and water, and an electric vacuum, and a doorbell and other sounds. And they can also answer some questions. For example, a dove's teacher holds a colored stick and asks him how many sticks are colored red, and he answers immediately. And of course, all these skills are through training and repetition. And it is said that the parrot is the only bird that can eat using its feet. Its feet, for it, are like hands for humans. Not only does it use them while walking, but it also uses them to pick up things and hold food and fruit. And one of the strange things that I noticed is that some parrots prefer to use their feet more than the other, using the same mechanism that humans prefer using the right hand on the left, or the opposite. One of the funny things about parrots is the connection between them and the parrot. If you ask yourself now to imagine the shape of a parrot, the shape will be in your imagination as follows: a person with wooden feet and a cut hand, and a black stick on his eye, and holding a sword, and the scene will not be complete except with an important thing, which is the parrot standing on its shoulder. Pigeons always appear to be companions of parrots. It is likely that the reason for the relationship between the pigeon and the parrot is that the parrot has the ability to monitor and spy. It can be trained to move some of the hostages from one place to another. However, we cannot be sure that it was used a lot in novels and movies.